pretty damn good.
Yeah, let's talk about the bigger picture. Let's talk about how we be ballin', playing with the Wizards. Let's talk about the Nets and how they always got good pitches. Let's talk about the Cats, how Rex can turn them boys to winners. Injuries and updates, oh yeah. To the opponent, we stand toe to toe, yeah. To the top, this podcast gonna go, yeah. I think it's something you should know, yeah.
Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. Joining me, it's my co-host Trevor and the Stoner.
What's up?
Guys, this is our third day in a row creating content for the channel, and it's a doozy.
Not for me though.
We got that's right. Trev was otherwise engaged in our video yesterday where we thought Washington missed out on a QB, and little did we know they had some fireworks for us today. Of course, let's go through a little housekeeping here real quick. Of course, on Wednesdays at 7:30, we like to live stream our podcast. We do that to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and then we put it out on all your favorite podcast platforms. We are sponsored by Skybar out in Lexington, Virginia. See Trev in person.
That's right.
Those special events with him as well. All that's done with the Sky Bar in Lexington, Virginia. And we're also sponsored by Pacers Running for every run. I tell you what, just get your shoes there. Okay. Yeah. Even if you're not a runner, just get some comfy shoes for the barbecue, for running to FedEx to get in those seats after the deal they made today. Because by golly, it seems like people are really happy on Twitter now. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know, but
in case you're unfamiliar with what's happening, Washington made a trade for Carson Wentz to be the QB of the Commanders going forward. That's what this entire show is going to be about. We're going to start off very briefly, just kind of going over the deal, our thoughts on the deal itself. Then we've got Colts Insider. Yes, very much Colts Insider. That'd be Stephen Burton, the host of No Horsing Around podcast. He'll be joining us, giving us some insight from Carson Wentz's last location. And then afterwards, we're going to give our thoughts on Carson Wentz as a whole. We've actually kind of touched on him a little bit in our QB tier video. We did not, we did not rank him very highly. But we'll find out if our opinion has changed, knowing he's going to be the guy here in Washington. So as I mentioned, we are going to go over here in the warm-up real quick. I appreciate all the people in the chat. Let us know what you think. We've got Alcatone, we got Shady Katie, Ernie in there as well, and Chris. This is going to be an interesting one, Chris. Chris saying this is Ron signing his walking papers. That's going to be pretty interesting to see whether or not that's what happens here after Washington gave up this year's third-round pick, next year's third-round pick. That could become the second-round pick if Carson Wentz plays 70% of plays. And they traded the second-round pick this year. Okay, so they swapped second-round picks because they're going to get back the Colts' second-round pick. And, of course, then they get Carson Wentz out of this deal. They also take on the $28 million this year, the money that is going to go against their $30 million that they had open in the cap. Guys, what do you feel about just the trade itself? Leave Carson Wentz, like his abilities and everything out of it. Just the trade. This is technically – a franchise QB, if you're wanting to look at it, or at least a solid QB for this year. What do you guys think about this trade?
All right, before we get into that, Nathan, we're turning the tables on you today. Okay?
You mess with a great formula.
You always have
with a
us.
Good formula.
Nathan, we want to hear your opinion on this trade first. What is your opinion?
I give my opinion after I let my wonderful opinionated co-hosts
I gave it a shot.
Give their opinion. If you want to know my opinion, this is essentially, if they do not restructure the contract, they gave up quite a bit for a bridge QB. Not too much. I do feel like you could have gotten one in free agency. But as was mentioned elsewhere, you can't let we're obviously not, Washington's not an ideal location for many QBs. So this one, you don't risk losing him to another team by paying for that. The $28 million, if it's not restructured, this is Carson Wentz, time to prove that he belongs in the NFL. 1 year. What I love about that is that he's not on the, even though he's on contract for more than this year, only having to guarantee pay him this year.
Mm-hmm.
That means next year you can move on if he doesn't work out. But we'll talk more about that later. So now that I've given my opinion, Stoner,
Trev's dying over there.
Do you feel happy?
First of all, I'm dying because we've got the insider just backstage waiting to talk, and we're just rambling on. So, second of all, my opinion on the trade, I can't really have one because the trade details depend on the player you're trading for. So I have to include it. I think it was great. 2 third-rounders. I don't care if we swap second rounds. I don't care. We got Carson Wentz. His stats prove it. We'll get to it later. I approve the trade. It was justifiable for the player we got back in return. Go ahead, Stoner.
Yeah, I tell you what. I tell you where I am. I'm right here. I don't know yet. I have not
You're waiting
formulated my opinion yet.
Let's
because and here's what I'm going to do when we talk about it. Steven's coming on here in just a second, but when we talk about it, I'm not going to give an opinion. All I'm going to do is refute both of your opinions.
Oh.
And then by the end of the show, I'm going to formulate my opinion on whether or not this is a good trade.
This is a brand new strategy he just threw upon us, ladies and
strategy.
gentlemen. So
That's
it's
right.
not going to work.
He's
but-
changing things up.
Let's
We'll
bring
see
on
how-
Steven. I don't want to
we'll
talk
see
to you
how it
guys
works.
anymore. I want to talk to Steven.
We are going to, in fact, go to the game right away. That was our warm up. We've got a lot of people in the chat. We're going to get to some of those comments there, but we know that we have our Colts insider just for a little bit, so we want to get to him. So coming up here on the game, it's Stephen Burton from the No Horsing Around podcast. I want to make sure I always get the name right because Stoner has a habit of also giving me wrong information on that.
He does.
So coming up here for the game. Welcome back to the game. And as promised, it is Stephen Burton from the No Horsing Around podcast, our very own Colts insider. Welcome to Ref the District.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I'm not sure if I'd be considered an insider necessarily, but I'll
You're
take
our
it, man.
Ref the District Colts insider.
I'll take it. Sorry, I'm going to put this light up here that for some reason is acting funny on me. There we go.
Beautiful. All right. So, Steven, here's a question for you. We're not going to beat around the bush. We're not going to bury the lead. Why was Indianapolis so quick and so happy and so amenable to get rid of Carson Wentz when right now you have nothing to put in for a quarterback? Why?
So you are not the first person to ask that.
Yeah.
Kind of as the offseason, once the Jacksonville, a lot of people are going to point to the Raiders game, the Jags game, Jim Irsay coming out after the season, the all chips in, and all those different things that happened, and that they kind of had this sour taste left in their mouth from the Jacksonville Jaguars game. And kind of the more that kind of people I trust, Zach Kiefer of The Athletic, Stephen Holder, Kevin Bowen up in Indianapolis, people that we talk to on our show a lot, they seem to, and the narrative has kind of started to come out a little bit more too, and the Colts are probably trying to get ahead of this a little bit, is the question mark about the locker room has come back up again, and the question mark about his leadership. No one is bashing him. Well, there are definitely portions of the family. You guys are in Washington. You saw it firsthand in Philly. There are definitely portions of the fan base that did not like him. No matter what he would have done, I think when the trade was made last year, there were people who were for it, against it, and kind of no matter what he did this past season, they were going to stay that way. But there's been questions that have come up lately. A lot of people are pointing to the COVID shot. He didn't get vaccinated. Was it a good look or a bad look coming to a new team? Irsay's been very big on that. So that could be it. But a lot of what seems to be coming out after the fact is something off the field more than on the field to lead to what you said in regards to the fact that they're willing to move on with nothing in place that we know of. And this isn't like
after giving up a first-round pick for him.
Correct.
This year.
I mean,
so
we're happy. I mean, a lot of people are, it was known they wanted to move off of him. They did him no favors as soon as the season ended, and to still manage to get 2/3 and potentially that second next year if he plays well, which not even plays well, plays 70%, which, I mean, obviously now Colts fans are hoping for that to kind of elevate to that
much
second.
the way Philly fans were hoping for him to reach that clause in Indianapolis. Now Indianapolis is hoping he reaches pretty much the same clause, right? I think it was 75% of the games in Indianapolis.
So, I mean,
now it's dropped down to 70.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing there to replace it with. And I'll tell you guys this, and this isn't insider information or anything like that. This isn't like double secret probation stuff. Ballard doesn't have, no one is saying Ballard has this like super secret plan that's been laid in place. They were willing to move off of Carson with nothing in place because they simply wanted to move off of Carson.
Well, that's interesting.
That's not really boding well for a lot of our Washington fans who are still,
Nah.
I think, in disbelief, maybe a little anger. It looks like Trev's already moved to the acceptance stage of
Yeah,
this.
dude. We ain't got time to cry.
I'll say good things. I am a Carson Wentz fan. I'm on our show of myself and my co-host Zach. I am most definitely the Carson Wentz apologist throughout the season. So I've got good things I can say about him. But if you're asking me why they were so quick, the bubble that comes out of Indianapolis is that there was something that was not right off the field, and it's not like he was getting into trouble or he was doing anything. You know, a lot of the stuff that's come out is just he's maybe not a natural born leader. He is not as vocal, and when you're not winning at a high clip, it's hard to gravitate to that person.
Yeah,
and he's not that raw person. He's just not.
He had at least one teammate, Darius Leonard, came out in support of him. Have there been any other teammates who have
So
come out and
Darius
supported
Leonard's
him?
come out. Michael Pittman Jr. has come out several times. Excuse me. Desmond Patman has come out. Kenny Moore defended him the other day when the Russell Wilson trade went down. He said, he put a picture out of Carson. Darius Leonard's definitely have been the most vocal, and take that kind of with what you will a little bit too. Is I think he's upset about the Carson Wentz and trading him, but I think he's upset too because he's been in the league 5 years and he's had 5 different starting quarterbacks now.
Exactly.
So I think he's upset about that too.
Yeah.
Washington fans can commiserate.
yeah,
Yes.
Yeah. We get it.
Yeah, we do.
So here's another question then.
Yeah.
If this team around the league is known to be a running team, this is kind of a Jonathan Taylor led team, right? So is Carson Wentz, was he, do you think, was he showcased better with in his numbers because they are a running team? Did they hide his warts per se because they were running the ball so much? Or do you think he had a really good year and people are just not giving him enough credit for it?
So I'm going to fall in between.
Okay.
I don't think they hid his warts necessarily, but I think they took the ball out of his hands on purpose in situations. You can't hide the game against Jacksonville, obviously. You can't hide the game against the Patriots where they did. He threw for 50 yards. I mean, and you did have Jonathan Taylor. I think he had to. I'll stand on this hill with him. Touchdown interception ratio obviously sometimes is misleading, but he had a very good bounce back season. Was he comeback player of the year or anything like that? No, I actually think I called that. I thought he might be the comeback player of the year at the beginning of the season, but he had a very good comeback season. It's weird in Indianapolis. A lot of people want to, run the damn ball. That's kind of the mantra, but Ballard is very much 64. Like he wants to throw the ball, and you could see that he did. There were times near the tail end of the year where he took the ball out of Carson's hands completely. And he said, hey, even to close out the New England game, it was Jonathan Taylor who closed it out, who called game, not necessarily Carson. Now, Carson, like I said, I'll defend him in his play. I think he had a really good season. He flashes so much.
Yeah.
You know, going around
Second overall
on
pick,
Twitter
I
and
hope
things,
he would.
you've got the big throws, and he's got all the talent in the world. And I'll defend his mental makeup a little bit. You know, a lot of people call him mentally weak. I point to, and I get kind of lambasted in Colts Nation about it, is a game that I always point to is the first Titans game as kind of his ability to show a little bit of comeback. You know, he throws probably the worst interception to a lot of people in the history of the NFL because we have a short-term memory. But it was a horrible play, and they were going to lose the game, and he came back on the field with under a minute left and went down the field for a touchdown to go to overtime. I don't make that argument a ton because then he turned around and he made a really bad throw again right after that. But a lot of the Carson apologists will tell you too, he put the Colts, he did have times where he put the Colts in position to win games, and they didn't hold leads. You know, they didn't hold the lead against Tennessee the second time. They didn't hold the lead against the Bucs. They didn't hold the lead against the Rams. You know, he and then part of that was he went out. They didn't hold the lead against the Ravens on Monday night. There was a lot of times that he played well, and they didn't hold the lead. So, I mean, I'm kind of down the middle. I think he wasn't showcased probably, and some of that's on the Colts too because, you know, it's been reported widely. Like we have Michael Pittman Jr., and that's kind of it.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of weapons around the outside, and so it makes it difficult to see who he's going to throw the ball to.
Yeah.
Answer this for me real quick, Stephen. Would you be afraid to play the Washington Commanders with Wentz at the helm?
So I'm going to say yes right now because I'm on a Washington show. No, I'm just kidding. But
Pandering to the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know who's trotting out for us at quarterback, but who you have is who we have than right now. You know, we don't have anybody. We have Ellinger and we have Huntley. We don't have a QB. I think it's y'all's name was a name that came up a lot once the season ended as someone who was possibly looking at him. A good buddy of mine who runs a different show who was on my show a long time ago. It's Rashad with the Blue Stable. He's a buddy. I mean, he's still a really good friend of mine. He's much more a Colts insider than I am. And you guys were definitely a name that came up quite a bit. And you guys have a lot of talent. I think you have more talent in the skill positions than we do outside of Jonathan Taylor. But, you know, when you're looking in the receiver positions, I think you guys are very talented. McLaurin, Samuel, I think I know he was hurt last year a lot, but he's someone the Colts desperately wanted too.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I hear you. Well,
That's a pretty big thing though, right? It's like, you know, if having had an entire season with him, if you're saying that with the Commanders, he could be a force, you know, if you're not really wanting to play this team, I feel like that should hold some weight. I don't know that it's going to bring all of our fans on board. It looks like we've got quite a few people here who thinks this is Philly's trash that kind of got pushed off to the Colts. You know, you're a little bit higher. Trev, you're pretty high on this. You're pretty happy at least about it. You got a question for our man here?
Let me see here, Stephen. I guess not really. I mean, you pretty much answered everything that I want to know because they asked before me. So, and like you said, you're just giving your point of view. But I guess the biggest question was why were the Colts so eager to move on from Carson Wentz after 1 year when Frank Reich was supposed to be the one to save his career? You know, since that's his college football, go back to college football days. So that's just my question was why were they so quick to move away? But like you said, off the field issues. So was it like a team chemistry thing, you think, or was it like something with the coaches in the front office, or was it? I mean, you did mention not a leader, rah-rah guy, but
right. So obviously, one of the big things last season was it sounded like from a lot of people was that Frank Reich was the one who kind of pounded the table, and he even said so at the combine. He kind of stuck his neck out for him. He had a prior relationship. The rumor, I can say the rumor in Indianapolis has definitely been that Irsay has been out on him, probably through about halfway through the season. Irsay didn't really want him. When your owner doesn't want him, it doesn't really matter. If you're put in kind of a precarious position, there were rumors that maybe that Ballard and Reich did want him, and Irsay kind of put them in the position where no matter what, you're going to move. It's kind of sounded like it's a little bit of that. I could say more than likely, I mean, I don't think he's turned off all his teammates. I don't think he's this locker room cancer that we all heard coming out of Philly. I don't see that. But does he meld and mesh with everybody in the locker room? I don't think so. I think he's probably kind of that quiet person. He's, like I said, he's not that rah guy. He is, I mean, on Hard Knocks, he gave his linemen Yeti coolers and meat. You know, Jonathan Taylor gave them all Louis Vuitton bags. So it's a varying kind of thing. And it's not necessarily like, I don't know if people gravitate to him is kind of where I'm getting at with it. But I don't, by any stretch, I don't think he's this locker room cancer that was made out to be in Philly. I think I do think he's hard-headed.
Yeah.
I think he wants to do what he wants to do. And sometimes he plays way too much hero ball. He, instead of, dirting the ball or taking a sack, he's going to keep going. And he might make a bad play. He's very much boom or bust. And you guys will have a great time watching him next year because it's kind of like a roller coaster. Every game, you're not quite sure what's going to happen. He could sprain. And, I like to clarify because Pat McAfee, obviously he's the biggest Colts guy out there. He jokes all the time about that he sprained both his ankles on one play. It's not actually what happened. He sprained one earlier in the game, and then Aaron Donald sprained the other later in the game. But he played on two sprained ankles the following week when I was at that game in Tennessee, and he was probably 25%. So for anybody to question his toughness, I think is kind of out there. I think he's extremely tough. Yeah. And I think this year showed, too, a durability factor. I know there was a lot of questions about his injury history. So I think he's a little bit more durable. And he does
seem to be a little bit more durable than what he's given credit for. I think he ended Philly with a little bit of a bad rap there because he was playing injured, ended up getting benched. The locker room stuff started coming out, and I think that kept with people. But Tay and Todd, actually, another Washington football team or Washington Commanders content creators, they pointed out that he actually hasn't missed as many games in his first 100 as you would expect for somebody who's labeled as injury prone. So, yeah, interesting.
Well, and I'll tell you, for you guys too, I got no problem. I joke all the time. I can't imagine being you guys and dealing with the Philadelphia fans and media.
Yeah.
Because
it's not fun.
When he came, I have several other podcasts in Philly that I became friends with, and I talked with them, and they kind of were like, brace yourself. So I'll tell you guys I'll say this. I have never seen a more polarizing player ever for my team.
Yeah.
Where it was either love or hate. Philly fans were constantly in my DMs and in our comments throughout the season of any game that he played in. And it was just,
he hasn't even taken a snap, and we've already been tagged in several people's
it's
Philly
the craziest thing.
Stuff.
They are second. They're number one, followed closely by Ravens fans.
Oh,
another one.
Yeah,
we're not exactly fond of up here.
Ravens fans.
I
made the mistake one time of saying I wasn't sure if I had Lamar Jackson in my top 5, and one guy followed the show.
You paid for that. You
weeks.
paid for that.
Oh, I paid for it. Yes, very much.
As long as you don't pull an Annie Agar and trash the Jags fans and then have some old tweets brought up, you should be just fine. Stephen, we want to thank you for coming out here and joining us here on Ref the District, giving us a little bit of that Colts inside knowledge on Carson Wentz as we prepare to be his third team in his young career. So we appreciate it. You can catch Stephen on his own podcast, the No Horsing Around podcast. Again, Stephen, we appreciate you coming out.
Anytime. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, thank you. We're going to continue this conversation, not with Trev as the big man there. We're going to be equal parts.
I never
here.
get to be the big man.
now that we've had a little bit of that inside knowledge of his last year on there, let's get to the comments here because I don't want to leave these people out. We have a lot of people on there. I mentioned Alcatone. He's been lighting up Carson Wentz in our chat. He thinks Heineke is better. He's drinking some.
Oh my gosh!
I'm probably going to have myself a little Captain and Ginger later for just how this day has been. Ernie, Chris, DMV Sports Zone, check out their channel if you can. They create some great content out there as well. We got DFG Kennels, Graham. Let's see here. There's got a lot of comments go through. Lashina Carter's back.
Mark
Lots of good
Harshaw.
conversations out there. Yeah, if I'm Mark Harshaw saying not worth the $28 million. This is a point I'm going to bring up right now.
Okay, let's talk about this.
Okay, we're going to talk about this. That's going to be our first.
Please.
We're going to bring up is Mark's not worth the $28.
$28
Absolutely, $28 million. Absolutely not worth $28 million. Okay, because this very likely could just be a 1 year rental. Okay, if it's a 1 year rental at $28 million, that's far too much. Now, that being said, the team could very well restructure his contract and that $28 million can go down. Would you guys want that contract restructured to where he's not guaranteed 28 this year? So he's not against the cap at that point, but he's against the cap for the next couple of years, even if they don't stick with him?
I mean,
why do you care?
exactly.
How much money
Who gives a damn, bro? He's a
big
quarterback.
On the money doesn't matter.
You're not going to get a quarterback for less than $10 million these days, guys. Those days are over. The salary cap just increased by $10 million. It's 2022. Quarterbacks, if you want a quarterback to be your guy, you're going to pay whatever it takes for him to be your guy. 28 million people are mad that we're eating it this year. Okay, cool. So what? If it doesn't work, which we won't know until the end of the season,
right?
We can move on. So it's hard to say it's a waste of money right now. If we sign Mitch Trubisky for $20 million, our fan base will say the same thing. So in my opinion, Carson Wentz was the best available quarterback for veteran for us to go get. He was. I don't care what anybody says.
Better than Jimmy G?
Yes. 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 95 passer rating, 60-some QBR. He was a front-runner MVP in 2017. He was having a good year at the Colts. It's 5 years ago, but what our quarterbacks of the past, when can we say that in the conversation? Oh, never. So there's that. Like I said, of all the available quarterbacks out there for a veteran, he's the best. Get over it. 28 million, who cares? I'm with Stoner now.
The money doesn't tend to matter. One of the things, Stoner, I'm going to let you talk here a little bit. Again, I've said this a couple of times today already. One of the great things about this, though, is if they don't restructure, okay, it's 28 million this year. It's nothing the next 2 years.
Exactly.
So they can walk away.
Yeah, everybody relax.
Walk away scot-free. So me personally, I asked, would you want to restructure? No, don't restructure. Keep it 28 million this year because you can cut ties next year or the year after, and he doesn't cost you anything. I mean, obviously there's some money that, but it's no guarantee if you cut him. And to me, that's well worth it. And the reason why, Trev, that you do that is because then you can open it up and you can sign the guys that you want. This D line that everybody loves is going to need to get paid, but they don't have to get paid this year. So to me, keep the 28 million on the books this year.
Yeah, who cares?
But you might have to, as Tommy T is pointing out, you're going to want to restructure for potential free agents, but we'll see. So Stoner, you're not a big contract guy. You know, the cap is a lie.
Cap is a cap, right? The cap is a cap.
So do you feel he's worth it at least for the draft picks you're giving up?
Yes.
I will always say this. This is my mantra, and this is not like me saying I'm right and everybody's wrong or anything, but my mantra is always, if Ron and the GMs, Marty and Marty, they all get together and they say, this is the guy we want to run our football team. Maybe he's not our first choice. Maybe Russell Wilson is your first choice. You couldn't get him, whatever. This is the guy we want. I don't care what it takes to get that guy, whether it's players, draft picks, money, whatever it is. If you believe that he's your guy, you do whatever it takes. So the 28 million, I don't care about that. If you run into a situation where you're trying to sign, I'm just throwing this out there, Amari Cooper, and you say, and he wants a certain amount, and you don't have that, and you really want Amari Cooper, restructure his deal and do what it takes. But if you don't have to, don't do it. If you have to, do it. Do whatever it takes to get the guys that you want on this team to win football games. Stop everybody out there, and I'm talking to everybody out there.
Let them know, Stoner.
Stop trying to be a capologist.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're on Twitter saying these things for a reason because you are not a capologist.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is you get your feelings hurt when your boss at Pep Boys won't let you take a break so that you can try and be a real capologist. Okay. You're working at Pep Boys because you're not a capologist. Okay. It bugs me. It doesn't matter. Ron is not sitting back in his chair and just saying, Carson Wentz, let's just give him a couple of draft picks and whatever and get him over here. They have a plan.
Yeah, dog.
And they are executing that plan. Now, that might not work. All right. It might just completely blow up in their face, but they have a plan of what they want to do, and they're now executing it.
Thank you very much.
That's what I wanted to say about that.
All right. So you can appreciate that.
That's a segue into my comment that thankfully, thank goodness they kept this under wraps. They didn't say, oh, Carson Wentz is like the primary target now that they failed to Russell Wilson. Like, it just shocked the world, shocked the fan base. I loved it. I'm loving what we did to go get our guy Stoner, like you said, 2/3, whatever, $28 million. Who cares? Obviously, it's like, obviously they did their research. Yeah, Jimmy G is a sexy name, but he just had shoulder surgery. Successful or not, we don't know what it's going to be like. Mitch Trubisky has been a backup for the past how many years? So we were high on that a little bit, but like Carson's more proven than Mitch. So there's that. Absolutely. Marcus Mariota, he's had his time starting. We were advocating for him too.
Forever.
He's been a backup forever. But now we see Carson Wentz. He's better than Mariota. So he's the best available quarterback out there. And I'm not 100%
sure of that, but okay.
Well, like stats-wise, starting experience, he's played a high level. We know what he has in our division.
Let's reframe that a little bit, Travis. He might not be the best QB out there available, but out of the ones Washington had available, he's probably the most qualified to take over the starting position. You can't say he's the best. In our tier video, I really wish I had more time because I could clip. I watched it prior to coming on here, and you should too. And you can laugh at us for all those people who watch our channel. We were not high on Carson Wentz.
No,
we put him at the back of the line.
Was he on B tier?
He ended up at the back
of C.
I think he ended up at the bottom of
that was y'all's tier.
The bottom of tier.
That was y'all's tier. I had Derek Carr and the rookies.
You had him
tier.
at the bottom of B tier. I wanted to move him to the top of C tier, and both of you were like, no. He belongs at the back of the B tier.
Because those are two different tiers. B and C are different. If they were the same,
you put him behind Mariota. You put him behind Trubisky. You did these things.
They're on the same tier. Michael Jordan and Will Chamberlain, whatever, same.
Let's not put Carson Wentz up on the pedestal just
it's the
yet.
B tier, bro.
In fact, one of the things you're talking about the process, one of the things that's been coming up a lot since the trade happened is Will Washington is a part of the process here, as Chris is asking here. Does Washington draft a QB at 11 or perhaps later in the draft? Or are they just going to wait till next year where the QB class is a little bit better? Thanks, Chris, for that question. Go ahead. Hit it up.
You draft a quarterback in the second round or later. We got our guy right now and starting. As much as I hate to say it, we have our guy right now and Taylor Heineke as a backup just in case. So you don't need to spend your first round number 11 pick on a rookie quarterback, especially if another better player available is sitting right there that could probably help us out even more. I know today Tom McShay is saying Devin Lloyd, linebacker from Utah, is pretty much the same person who Jamin Davis was supposed to be last year. I don't know how I feel about that, but that's just a prime example. We got our guy at quarterback, so go build around him. Go start filling the needs that you need in the draft. So second rounder or later.
I'm not drafting a quarterback this year. No chance. I'm not wasting because we've lost a third rounder now, right? Washington lost the third rounder in this trade. Well, I'm talking about for this year.
Oh yeah,
This year's draft they're down a third.
Yeah,
I'm not going to waste that on a quarterback.
Fifth round pick either.
Let's play this out. Okay, let's play this out. Let's say he has a really, really good year, right? He still technically has that contract, okay? And you can continue on with that contract. I don't know what they have to do to guarantee it or whatever, but he's still under contract for what, 3 years?
It's he's on for 3 years. The only guaranteed is this year, though.
Right. So if he has a great year or a very good year, whatever, you want to move on with him, he's already under contract. So there's that situation. So don't draft in this draft. If he has a terrible year, then you go ahead and cut him with no cap hit and you draft a quarterback next year or a free agent. The free agent class next year is better. Everybody says the college kids are better next year. So why are you wasting a pick on a quarterback this year? I don't see any reason why you would waste a pick, any pick, even a fifth rounder. I wouldn't waste on a quarterback.
But
yeah,
give me a scenario where it helps you to draft a quarterback this year for your future.
He's sitting right there at your later rounds pick at the best player available. You take him. Why not? Matt Corral sitting there, whatever, fourth round, and it's our turn. And he's on the board like
Sam Howell's still out there. Someone
Howell and a lot
of fans have been talking themselves into Ritter. If he's,
but
if
I know, but
you know how it comes up on
round,
it pops up on the draft like Kuiper and like best left available at this spot.
Best player.
And you got Matt Corral there, Sam Howell, and then the rest are like Todd Jones, Chris Moore, and Leaky Black, who are nobodies. You're going to take one of those nobodies, or you're going to take Sam Howell or Matt Corral because they're right there.
I'm not taking a quarterback. I'm just not.
But they're the best player at that spot, bro. You're trade away that. You have a chance to draft a project.
I think they work very similar to our tier level. If they're all on the same tier, you're probably not taking the QB. I'm with Stoner on this one. I'm not taking a QB this draft. You have your potentially the quarterback of the future and Wentz. You have a quality backup and Heineke.
No, just backup. He's not quality. He's just a backup.
He's a quality backup.
15
there's
picks,
no QB
backup.
this year. Mike Lee in our chat brings up an excellent point. If you take one high enough, Carson Wentz might get a little ugly. That was part of the situation.
Right,
in Philadelphia. They talked about they talked about his bad attitude. You got to think this man, had a darn good season. Gets them to the playoffs, gets injured. Foles has an amazing playoff run, wins the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia pretty much enshrines Nick Foles as a football god when Wentz is there and now starting his third season, and he felt like he did a lot of work. So I think that's a little bit of why there was some animosity there. That might happen here. We already have Alcatone in the chat and a few others that are thinking Heineke is better. And if you bring in the Heineke hive towards Carson Wentz, how's he going to react? How is he going to react to that? Because I imagine he's coming into this situation feeling that he has the job.
He does have the job, bro. There's no way in hell they brought Carson Wentz in to battle with Taylor Heineke for the starting. There's no way in hell they did that. If they did that, fire Ron, fire Marty, fire the whole front office. Everybody can get the hell out because that would be.
And not at $28 million too, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you're paying him $28 million to
bro.
battle for a job.
I think we're going to get. I don't even see Taylor Heineke being our backup this year. I really think that Washington has that mindset of drafting a quarterback this year to develop behind Carson Wentz and battle Taylor Heineke for that number 2 spot, and also maybe use Taylor as draft bait in the draft. You never know. This is just the first move of anything.
You said this man is a is barely a backup, and you're going to trade him for what?
People are desperate. We just signed Carson Wentz. Why wouldn't people just take Taylor Heineke? Okay, it's a business. People
dollar bet.
Heineke.
I feel a dollar bet, Trev.
Yeah, let's hear this.
Let's do it.
Taylor Heineke. I've already forgot the bet. I think it's Taylor Heineke will be the backup.
The number 2.
I bet dollar. He will be quarterback 3 or gone this season for us.
All right,
QB2. I'm with Stoner on this one. QB2. Let us know in the chat if you're going to get on this. We want everybody. I want everybody's opinion. Is Heineke going to be QB2? I know Alcatone's already said Wentz isn't going to last 7 games. Now, I want to get on that part. Do you think Carson Wentz lasts the entire season? You got to remember there's a rider here on this for Washington. He's got to play 70% of the games.
Yes.
How many did he play last year?
12.
How many games?
All of it.
He played every game last year. He started every game last year. He finished every game last year.
Yep.
So he's going to play every game.
2 bad ankles. They probably won that game. He didn't say that part, but I don't know if they won or not. And also, here's a nugget. Offensive lineman Eric Fisher is out there. Brandon Sheriff is gone. Bring in Eric Fisher, who just played with Carson Wentz in Indianapolis last year. That could help out our line and help him stay healthy too. So this is just the first piece, you guys. That's why I get so upset with our fan base, because as soon as something happens, people are ready to leave the squad. People are ready to throw in a towel. We haven't even seen
everybody's ready to leave.
We haven't even had a draft yet. Free agency hasn't even happened yet. And people are ready to be like throwing a towel. Carson Wentz, if he was that bad, why would he be valued so highly? Like, you know what I mean? People bash him for that year in Philly, but he's actually not a bad quarterback. He's 6'4",
he's not
240. He has a cannon. He just plays reckless, and I'll take him playing reckless over Taylor Heineke's version of playing reckless.
Yeah.
Taylor Heineke's version is, I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to throw a duck, or I'll take the sack. Yeah. Carson kind of has that, but he can, he's just has. I don't know. He
throws some underhanded YOLOs too, right?
He does, but
he loves to throw these underhanded passes.
Way better than Taylor Heineke. So.
All right, but here's the thing that I find most interesting about all of this is that Ron Rivera he has put his entire football coach reputation is now in the hands of Carson Wentz, right? Because his time in Carolina, everybody will say he luckboxed his way into Cam Newton, right? And Cam Newton carried him all the way. Here in Washington, he's had a bad string of quarterbacks. You can sit there and you can say, well, Dan is the one that forced Dwayne Haskins on him and all this other stuff that first year. Whatever, that's on his watch. And you got Alex Smith, and you've got all those guys, the Kyle Allen and Taylor Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick. He is hitching his entire reputation for the rest of his career on Carson Wentz. So I know he's not taking this whole decision lightly. No. I know he's done his homework because he also knows if, again, we've talked about this, he goes 5-12 next year with Carson Wentz, he gone.
Yeah. Yes.
He's gone because he changed my tune. Quarterback.
I have been pretty staunch in the fact that I think Ron's going to have another year. Okay. Yeah. Regardless of what happens this year. After this trade, I've changed my tune because if they don't restructure the contract, and even if they do, probably still not. If Ron fails, especially if they don't restructure, they can jettison Wentz, they can jettison Ron, and they can go after. They go 5-12 or something else. They can start all over with a new coach, new GM, and a new QB. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think Wentz is going to perform reasonably well. I do think he's better than Heineke. And in fact, I got a little game for you guys here.
Oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, I like games.
Just over under. Okay.
Okay.
Over under 4,000 yards for Carson Wentz.
Well, hang on. That's not fair. What? That's not fair. We like Trev just said, we haven't had free agency. We haven't had a draft. We don't know what his weapons are going to be. Over
under 4,000 yards.
I'm saying under.
I refuse to answer the question.
You got to pick. If you're in our comment section, let us know what you think. Over under 4,000 yards. Go out all you want.
I'm kind of with you, Stoner.
You know he's going to have McLaurin. You think that we're going to have a healthy Curtis Samuel. Logan Thomas should return. Those are your weapons. You got Antonio Gibson, who could be a threat at running back. And Trev's going under.
Yes, with the weapons we have now, with the roster we have now, and all we do is add Wentz, we're going under 4,000 yards.
I think you go over. This assuming he gets another weapon. He's got to get another weapon. Okay, it can't be what they have right now. But this will be, he's never had a receiver over 500 yards in a season.
No. That's you didn't read the tweet correctly. I can't pull up the tweet right now.
Oh, okay.
But the tweet is he's the only 4,000 yard quarterback who didn't even have a 500 yard receiver. So he's never had a 1,000 yard receiver when he's thrown for 4,000 yards because Pittman had 1,000 yards last year.
I apologize.
But he did not make. Yeah, he did not make 4,000 yards.
Gotcha. I'm putting out bad information.
Just shy 37.
Hey, what's the next question in this game?
We got over on. I know you got to ruin this. It's supposed to be lightning round.
Stoner's up here giving facts and stats.
Sorry. I'm giving out bad.
I'm taking the over, by the way. I'm gonna make sure I put that down. It looks like we got a couple other people in the over side of the house. Let me know if you're in the under on that one. Over under 27 touchdowns. That's what he had last season. Washington has not seen a QB that's thrown for 30 or more touchdowns since they won the Super Bowl.
I've got over because he threw for 27 touchdowns with a 1,500 yard running back, right? Yeah. So a guy who was carrying the ball 30 times a game, 35 times a game, was an MVP candidate himself, right? And
last couple games.
And he threw for 27 touchdowns with a run heavy idea from the coaches. So yeah, I'm
just forget the running game. He threw 27 passing touchdowns with Michael Pittman, Zach Pascal, Desmond Patman, and a sometimes T.Y. Hilton. So hell yeah, he's going to throw over 27 touchdowns with our squads.
I agree. He's done it. He's done it more than once in his career. So that's pretty good. Last year he had 7 interceptions. I'm going to give him a couple more this time because it seemed like there probably was a few more interceptions out there waiting to happen. Over under 10 interceptions for Carson Wentz.
I'm going under again.
Stop it. He's going way over that. He's probably going in the 15 range.
If that's the damn case, then why the hell we make a trade for him? Because Heineke threw 15.
Well, he's going to throw for 30 touchdowns, though. So that's going to make up for those 15.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to throw 15, but he's probably going to throw something like 12.
Last year he was 4-1, and the years before that has been 3-1, regardless of how much he's played. So over 30 for me.
And under
10.
Under 10.
So he's going to throw for 30 touchdowns and 9 picks.
He just did 27. He just did 27 and 7 with Michael Pittman.
Okay.
And Desmond Patman. And that's Zach Pascal, former Redskin, and T.Y. Hilton.
That's fair.
I'm taking the over, but just barely. I think he's going to get to like 11 or 12. I'm not quite there with Mike and Stoner at 15 interceptions. Wins for Washington, Mike. 8 wins. Over or under?
We're going over, baby. How do we know?
Baby.
We don't know what the roster's going to be.
This is the four questions in. Don't back out.
Get in there, Stoner. and use your Nostra Stoner.
How many wins they had last year?
And give us an idea of how many. They had 7 wins with Taylor Heineke and the top schedule. Now, strength of schedule this early is bogus. Yeah. But they are playing the 3rd place schedule. Wentz, we're saying, is a better quarterback. We're saying that he's going to throw for over 4,000 yards, over 27 touchdowns, and you're putting him at over on the interceptions.
We're going to the Super Bowl.
That ends more wins. Do you think that we get over under 8 wins?
Yes. How many wins they have last year with the Colts?
Hang on. They had 10 wins last year? No, they had 9. They were 9-9.
That's right. The Jags was supposed to be.
The Raiders and Jags collapsed them. But I'll give me 9 wins, 9-8. That saves Ron's career too. If we go 9-8, I know it sounds bad, but that saves Ron's at least for another year.
Oh,
So over 8
100%.
wins for sure. Over 8 wins. Yes.
Oh, man,
We
I
got a
don't
few. We got a
know.
few double digits
Stoner,
there.
we had
got-
7 with Taylor.
Chris is
Heineke.
taking
Why can't
taking
you-
the under there. He's at 7
Yeah.
wins. Mike's at 12 wins. Leon's at 10 wins. Chris is at 9 wins. Stoner, where you at?
I
Come on,
mean,
man.
again, not
It's not
fair.
a game. It's a game.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
So,
Chris,
gun to my
hold on.
head.
This will help you.
Yeah.
Look at this. 4 losses were 1 score losses. So there you go.
Hey,
Hey,
doesn't mean anything.
That means we're right there
Most
in it.
games are like that. Most
Not
NFL games
ours.
are close.
Not ours.
Unless you're Washington. What was the number, 8 or 9?
8.
8.
8. I'm going 8. They're gonna go 8, 8.
You
and
got to push.
They're
Stoner's
gonna
got to
go 8,
push.
8 and
8,
1,
8 and
yeah.
1.
Yeah.
Nah, we're gonna get 8. Our schedule says we're gonna get 8.
I think we're gonna hit the over, probably just barely. I think 9 wins is very reasonable. I
Mhm.
still think the team does need to fill holes. We'll see how they fill those holes during the free agency, which is supposed to start here soon.
Mhm.
One thing that we want them to do this offseason is extend Terry McLaurin.
And I
Probably going to
think
be a little
this
difficult to
move
do with the
helps.
cap space right now, but as
Restructure.
we said, the cap is a lie. Terry
I think,
McLaurin,
yeah.
over under 1,100 yards.
Over, because I want to say why. This is why, because somebody in our chat, I don't know who it was, but they made a comment that the talks about Terry's contract extension quieted down after the combine a little bit, like you didn't hear much. So I think personally they've reached out to Terry with the quarterback options that they were looking at and said, which one do you think will fit you the most? Which one do you want that you would like to play with longer than just for 1 year? You know, just so in
And
case
he
that
said
happens.
Carson Wentz.
Yes, he said Carson Wentz. He's seen him in the division already. He saw tape. I mean, it's probably a joke or a hoax, but this could legitimately happen. So that means they went and got Carson Wentz they took on his money. So now they can restructure and then extend Terry. Because that's the only way it could happen. Because anybody else, I don't know. That's just my hunch. So yes, they do
But
extend Terry
over
now.
1,100.
Now that they've got over 1,100 yards because of that. Yes.
Stoner, you're the one to bring up the stat. I mean, you botched it a little
Yeah,
bit.
PFF.
Yeah,
Come on.
I
But
totally botched it.
do you know he's not had when he had 4,000 yards, which you're saying that he did, that he
Mm-hmm.
will. He'll have over 4,000 yards. He did not have a 1,000-yard receiver. Does Terry McLaurin get to 1,100 with Carson Wentz going over 4,000 yards?
As long as Terry stays healthy.
He does. Why you got to put the
If
stipulations?
I'm just saying, no, I'm just saying. Like this year, he was
Well,
pretty much healthy.
obviously, that's
He was
thank
pretty
you,
much
Captain
healthy.
Obvious.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
hang on. He was healthy all year this year,
No,
and he didn't
wasn't.
make 1,100, right?
He
So
wasn't
I'm
healthy.
saying-
he just barely cracked 1,000, but he had Taylor
Yeah.
Heineke throwing up
Okay,
just
fine.
ridiculous balls for him to try to catch.
If he stays healthy, then yes, he
Well-
will clear 1,100 yards.
Oh my gosh! Can you just? Okay, that's
He
duh.
can't play the
That's
game.
not-
If
I'm also
if
taking the over.
Antonio
It
Gibson's
looks like
healthy,
our
he'll run
crowd,
for
our crowd is all picking the over on that one too. I think this is good. I think this
Blind
potentially
homers.
shows
No, dude.
that
We're
that
going all the way.
well,
To the
I
AFC
always say
Championship.
at the beginning of the season that we're it used to be 16-0, now it's 17 games. So we're going to be 17-0
That's
until
right.
I find out otherwise, right?
There you go. That's what I want to hear, Nathan. Thank you. Finally, Stoner, jump on board, bro.
Realistically,
We have no
I know
choice.
that's not going to happen. I'm
Sure.
saying they're probably going to end up about 9, but we're 17-0 until I find out otherwise. Carson
Oh,
Wentz might
man.
not be the guy you wanted.
Right.
You might have wanted somebody else. I know a lot of people were really hot on Wilson. We've posted a couple of
Yeah.
memes in that regards where I think
That's
a
the
lot
problem.
of Washington fans felt like his draft day girlfriend,
Mhm.
that they were going to hit the jackpot and Wilson
Mhm.
goes to Denver instead. A
Yeah.
lot of people turned their sights, us included. We did a video yesterday thinking that it was going to be Watson. And you're just going to have to start wrapping your head around the team going after Watson. And here they are today pulling this deal for Carson Wentz.
Yes, sir.
You know, it cost them, again, a third round this year, third round that could be a second round next year. And they swapped second round picks.
Right.
Yeah, we'll take
Only
it.
a difference, I think, of 5 spaces, by the way, in the second
Yeah,
round.
it's like
Yeah, 5 spots. Yeah.
which
I'll
I don't think that
take it.
amounts to much.
Guys,
yeah,
I mean,
again, we talked about this early in the show, in case there's a lot of people here that weren't here early in the show, and I believe that you figure out who it is that you want, and you do whatever it takes to get them. And if that costs you draft picks, oh no, we're not going to get another Jamin Davis. Oh no, we're not going to get De'Ami
Damn.
Brown or Benjamin
Oh,
St.
shoot.
Just. Oh
Crap.
shoot, geez, what are we gonna do if we don't have those picks? But seriously,
bingo.
you do whatever it takes, and if that's the
Mhm.
cost of doing it, then that's the cost of doing it.
You brought up a name.
And I'll be honest, if they gave up a first rounder for Carson Wentz,
I'd be flipping the lid then.
no, I'd be okay. I'd be
No.
fine with that.
No.
Because you have determined this is your guy, and that's what it took to get him. I'm okay with that.
You brought up a name that I think is worth talking about here. One of the
Okay.
things that, whether or not you love or hate Heineke, you got to understand he doesn't throw a great deep ball. His arm
No.
strength isn't the best. He's thrown a couple. The Cam Sims one, I think, was about 55-yard air yards.
Cool.
It looked like he was throwing a javelin in a track and field
He
competition.
probably farted when he threw it too.
Carson Wentz is known to be able to throw a pretty deep ball.
Yes.
Do you think that makes De'Ami Brown come alive this season?
No.
It certainly could. I'm a De'Ami Brown guy.
I am
You
too,
remember? You don't remember when we
but-
were in training camp and
Yeah.
we watched De'Ami Brown out there? I mean, it was from a distance a little bit. Man, that dude can cook some folks. But he didn't. Obviously, it didn't translate
I was
to
gonna
game
say,
Translate, yeah.
We'll just change
But-
that. He cooked our folks every day
maybe
because
that's it.
Which-
Yeah.
but once he
Which
got up,
a lot of wide
Trevon Diggs.
receivers ended up doing that.
I think it helps, but I think to get De'Ami Brown going, it's going to take more than just a quarterback. He's got to run routes better. He's got to learn how to be an NFL player, be a pro. Like, he's very young, very raw. In Carolina, all he did was mainly deep routes. NFL, you got to be, a little more than that. So I think just it's more than just getting a quarterback back there, because he dropped a lot of passes when he was open.
He did drop some. He
didn't get that many looks by any quarterback because he couldn't create separation. He wasn't open.
Separation was a bigger issue for him than I think a lot of people were expecting.
That quarterback doesn't matter. He just needs to develop on his own, I think, personally.
That's
in
fair.
that regard.
Speaking of developing,
Mhm.
Andre asks us, are we going to draft to build around Wentz? Are they going to just use this time to fill holes?
Mm.
Because if it's the filling holes, we assume we're getting at the best 10 wins until Wentz gets used to the system. That is a thing. This is now Carson Wentz's third system in as many years. Right?
See, that's
absolutely.
tough, because that goes back to we have De'Ami Brown already. So this is second year. We've got a Dax Milne, who the coaches seem to like a lot. They included him in the receiving room this year about, trying to keep over. Other than like in the free agency, Mike Williams is back with the Chargers. He was like probably the biggest name outside of Allen Robinson, which haven't heard any rumblings about him coming to town. So I guess that's tough. What do you build around the draft if you do that, like on the offensive side of the ball? Another receiver? Because that means Terry McLaurin or Curtis Samuel is your veteran receiver, and he didn't even play last year. So
and I'm not sure he's going to be playing a whole lot this year either.
Right, and no knock on Terry, but Terry needs somebody like a veteran guy beside him. I think not another rookie, because Terry's still young and raw too.
I don't necessarily think it has to be a vet guy. I think it just needs to be an explosive guy, right? Because you've seen some quality rookies coming out.
De'Ami was explosive, and look where he is now.
He was a third round explosive. I'm talking.
Yeah.
I'm talking Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase explosive. They're
going to be gone.
They're different. You're picking
Drake
up
London.
11.
Drake London's going to be gone before that.
Chris Olave.
Chris Olave.
I think it's too high for him.
Yeah, and then Garrett Wilson, he'll be gone from Ohio State. He'll be gone before us. So who's after that in the draft that you go get?
I don't know. It's a deep wide receiver.
It's a
draft,
very deep
right?
wide receiver draft.
Yeah,
and what I'm saying is the transition to the NFL for wide receivers, it used to be you wait till year 3 for things to click. Some of these wide receivers are coming in and they're just doing amazing things. And I think this draft is very deep in wide receiver. And I think you can potentially get that. So you're saying bring in a vet And I'm saying you don't necessarily have to. You just have to bring in somebody quality, which is not something Washington's been good with. You talk about De'Ami Brown as if you were a miss. We know Gandy Golden was a miss.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. All these studs that were like studs in the draft didn't translate.
Studs aren't. I don't know if
they're fourth rounder.
Then if you want explosive in the draft,
Terry McLaurin was drafted in the third, and they thought he was going to be a special teams player.
But I know
he turned into a stud.
If you're saying if you need somebody explosive from the college, that means they're a stud in college. They can't just be explosive in college and not be a stud. That means they're not a good receiver in college. Drake London, explosive.
When I say stud, I'm thinking NFL stud.
Oh, that's going to be hard. It's just going to be hard.
Well, here's a question from a fan perspective. And this is kind of piggybacking on what Nathan asked, but from a fan perspective, you as a fan, all three of us here as a fan, would you rather, if you're going to lose a game, would you rather lose the game 34-30, or would you rather lose a game 28-9? You know what I mean?
30.
Like you would rather have an explosive offense and have a terrible defense, right? And be exciting and be into the game and love watching Wentz throwing it all over the place and your playmakers making plays, and then your defense can't stop anybody. Or would you rather have a good defense that kind of keeps you in games, a la this year and last year, where it's just not very exciting because your offense is so bad, because your quarterback is bad. He can't get it to his receivers. Everybody's hurt. You're playing Dax Milne and Cam Sims and guys that don't belong on the field. Which one's better? So don't worry about filling holes. Go get explosive playmakers to support your quarterback, and let's have some fun. And let's just sling the ball all over the field. And let's have some fun watching the game.
It's been a while since Washington's been fun.
Yeah. For this, you need a big receiver. You need a go-getter, jump ball wide receiver. Terry McLaurin should not be that person for us. He's too small for that. And that's going to get him killed. We saw that this past year. Ducks or not, those 50-50 catches in the NFL for Terry is going to get him killed. We need Allen Robinson on the other side.
Logan Paulson claiming that he's not good over the middle, I think has something
Logan
to do with
Paulson
the fact that he's going to that he's getting. Well, I think in large that's because if you're looking at those 50-50 balls or those balls that have been thrown, they're usually behind and he's getting smacked, and that does play a part in a wide receiver's psyche. You know, that makes them a little bit more timid to go out there.
And also,
I don't think we're gonna have that problem with Terry, though.
You bring in Carson Wentz. Why do you want to bring in a bunch of young, raw people to make Carson Wentz look bad and then have the fan base be like, I told you so, and then we'll be right back next year looking for a quarterback with all these explosive weapons? No, don't just go get your explosiveness in the veteran free agency if you can, because these guys in the draft, they might be first-round talents, but we took Josh Dotson. He was a stud in college. He was one of those players, explosive, he was. And what did he do? Where is he at now? So, wide receivers in the drafts are more shaky than.
I think the draft period is a crapshoot.
Well, yeah, of course.
Specifically, prior linebackers, JDR and Ron picking Jamin Davis at 19th overall pick. Who's a linebacker? You think that those two would know linebacker play, and it didn't work out. So I think the draft is a little bit of a crapshoot. You have to have the right scouting department, and you have to get the right guy, which is why I'm glad this year we're not having to worry about that as far as the QBs are concerned, because they're a little bit lackluster. I know we've had a couple people chime in on that fact after we had that conversation. We don't think, two of us at least, Stoner and I, don't think it's time to draft a QB here. You got Carson Wentz, use him this year. But Trev is okay with a late round flyer if it's the best pick available.
Yes, exactly. That's my
best
point.
Pick available.
So Stoner, specifically what? What were you about to say specifically?
Specifically, would you sign Amari Cooper?
Yes. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Nathan says no.
Still a deep threat.
I know I'm on an
it's
island.
Okay. No, he came from Dak Prescott, who's not a good quarterback thrower. Let's be honest. He's not that good of a quarterback thrower.
Oh,
he's not, bro. Words. He's not that great of a thrower. He's good, but he's
last year he was a little shaky.
Give me Amari Cooper. We
years
tried last
before
year to
then
go get him.
I liked him, but look at that. I'm not on an island. I really thought that I'd be on an island.
Get him.
I would not sign Amari Cooper.
Go get him.
I would. I'd sign.
Go get him right now.
Cooper.
Allen Robinson or Amari Cooper.
Or any of those guys. I think you need to
Go get
add
him. Marquez
receiver.
Valdez Scalding, Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan for tight end, OJ Howard for tight end, because we need help in that spot.
I don't
Thomas
like
is
any
not
of
the
those
answer.
guys. I don't like any of those guys.
Well, I'm not too high.
Well, I
on
mean,
Logan
I don't
Thomas,
like
bro.
those three guys that you just mentioned from Green Bay.
There's
right.
Why not? You see what Aaron Rodgers did with them last year?
Well, that's also Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
I
think they're Jags. I think they're just a guy that Aaron Rodgers made them better.
Well, we need somebody.
We need somebody. I'm not saying
we're not going to win many games.
We'll
with
see.
Curtis, Diami, and Terry as our top three receivers. We're not.
We agree. We agree upon that. I do think that they need.
So don't add any more
wide
young
receiver
talent.
position. I'm just saying you can draft somebody who can make that impact.
Maybe.
No, you cannot.
Maybe.
This is a good draft for it. If you're the one who lands that, I think that it's.
Jameson Williams from Alabama. That's probably the best one. And he had a torn
draft
ACL.
as the draft comes closer. Free agency is starting next week. We will talk about
Commander
that. We're going to have
Carson.
a lot of things to talk about next week.
Commander
because
Carson.
it is the open of free agency. We have a QB. The Commanders have a QB.
Carson.
We might not be as excited as Trev.
Stoner's with me too.
Stoner might need a drink.
I couldn't wait because that was funny. Right before we did our tier quarterback video, I think Nathan said, or whatever quarterback he said, is if we have to do a Carson Wentz video, I'm not going to say that many words.
I'm on board.
You're stuck for 17 games.
I'm on record as not liking Carson Wentz. I will make myself like him. I will support him because he is wearing the burgundy and gold, and I support my team. Again, not exactly happy. The trade actually think is decent. We'll see how it plays out. Let us know what you think. You can always catch us every Wednesday at 7:30. We stream our podcast live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and I post to your favorite podcast platforms. As you can see, we're sponsored by Pacers Running. For every run, they've got you taken care of. Even if you're not a runner, I'm telling you, they will do an online fitting. Get yourself into a comfortable pair of shoes. You've been doing it wrong. You just don't know that. Okay. Check out them. Pacers Running either online or in one of their 6 stores in Northern Virginia or in DC. We're also sponsored by Skybar, where you can see Trev in person. He'll mix you a drink, talk some football with you and some basketball. The man is not a Wizards fan. The Wizards aren't playing tonight, but he is a Bulls fan. He knows what he's talking about. We will talk.
Lakers. He's what you call a front runner.
Bulls and Lakers aren't exactly front running right now.
You better be lucky he's signing off right now, because I could go a whole another 30 minutes on that right now. I mean, we haven't even talked about the Wizards thing. Can we talk about that for just 2 seconds? The potential rumor out there about Bradley Beal joining forces with Philadelphia.
No, we can create a whole video for it if we think that it's going to come to fruition. But for now, until next time.
What, Nathan?
Be a fan.
We love Washington, and we some die-hard fans. Yeah, we are. You know we keep it on 10. Let's talk about the offense. 1, 2, 3, let's go. And they gifted. We are ref the district. Podcast. Come on now and join us. You join it.